Hi everyone, welcome back to our Azure DevOps learning series. In the previous session, we covered on how to do the branching policies and how to do the settings of Azure repos and the permissions. Today, we are moving into the one of the most important concept in source code management, which is branching strategy. A good branching strategy ensures smooth development, clean release, fewer conflicts, and a stable production environment. So let's first understand what is branching strategy. A branching strategy is defined how your team create names, merge, and manage the branches inside your Git repositories. It helps team to be work in parallel without breaking each other code. It also ensures that the main branch always stay stable and ready for deployment. So as we learned in the last videos that on our repository where the name exists, on the bottom we have the branches we are all aware of, and we know like how to create a branch by clicking on the new branch. But what strategy needs to be followed based upon what your project need is. So let's learn about few of those branching strategy today, and I will switch over to the presentation today to show you multiple branch strategy, and then you will decide it what branching strategy you are going to be follow for your project, for your organization. So let's first talk about our first branching strategy, which is GitFlow. Standard one, a structured development perspective that can have a few branches to remain be there. Which started with the main branch that is having the code for your production or ready to be deployed onto the production. Then a branch with the name as develop, when and where your development team is going to merge the code to be get it deployed on the dev environment, where your development team go and merge the code first, followed by a feature branch. Individual developer can create their own feature branch based upon the activity, based upon the feature they are started working on. That is how the feature is going to be started, followed by any naming convention that you want to be follow based upon your organization related to either the dev name or the epic name, feature name, number, whatever that you want to be added up here. Next one is the release branch. Means, as the name suggested, when the code is ready to be deployed on pre-prod environment followed by the production one. Means it is ready to release to production. That is where after the testing, code is going to be merged, do a final round of testing and get it ready to be deployed onto the production. Then the another branch came in some scenarios where development team has to do the hotfix. In order to do the hotfix, the branch that needs to be created is hotfix branch, and that has been directly been created from main or a master and then directly been merged onto the main or master because it's a hotfix. However, after that has been done, it needs to be merged back onto the development branch or a release branch as needed. If you can see on the right side, our main branch showing as a color green, it remains this is the code that is always going to be in production or a stable code. Any new feature, any new activity that needs to be started, it will always take the code or a new branch from the master branch. Okay, any developer who is going to be work, they always going to be consider the code available on the master or a main branch is what they have to be take and start working on the new enhancement or a code changes. This is our first branch, a structured, a well way to be define your branching for individual feature perspective, development perspective, followed by when it is ready to be deployed onto the release branch. and then onto the master branch. However, there are many other strategy. Let's learn about the another one. And again, based upon your project requirement, you can finalize those branching strategy. The next one is the feature branching. As you can see, or the name suggests, it is very simple and most commonly used for a small or a medium-sized team, where your main code is always reside onto the main branch, followed by as and when small work came into that, you have to do the code modification, create a feature branch, make a change, get it tested, and merge it onto the main branch. There is no other branch you are going to be create. That is how you are going to be use a feature branching strategy, where only the main branch or a feature branch, or if needed to be fix the bug, again a new feature to fix a bug. That is how the feature branch is working. No other branches that you have to be managed directly from main to feature, fix it up, tested it out, again merge it back to the main branch. It is used only for a mid-size or a small team. Okay, move to the next one is the release branch. Again, the branching strategy that needs to be used when you have to maintain the different version that is going to be on the release. We'll talk about the better uses when we are moving on to the deployment strategy, but wherever you have to best for a version softwares, where few users are going to be use a version 1.0, another users you want to be released for 1.1, and there might be another different releases that you are going to be published for a different set of users. That is where the different branches is going to be created, what feature that you want to be published for or deployed for what particular audience. That is where the release branching strategy came into the picture. So on a release branch, as you can see on the right side on the picture, that whenever the code has been ready, it will go and merge in the corresponding release with the name as release slash and its version that is going to be deployed, that is x.x or x.y or x.z, right? That is going to be merged, tested it out onto the release branch, and then get it deployed onto the production. And again, all the production ready code is always been maintained in a main branch. Okay, move to the next one is our environment based branching. Usually it is not recommended to be used the environmental based. However, still it is being in used at many places where team is creating the branch based upon the individual environment, like the dev environment, Q environment, staging environment, UAT, sometime pre-prod environment, and then followed by the production. And for each branch perspective, they have their individual pipeline or a different strategy to move forward for a building and the deployment. However, there are few disadvantages to manage the code for each and every branch. Again, it becomes chaotic when multiple people or multiple developers are going to be work on. Sometimes it create inconsistency between all the environments. So in today's world, it is not as recommended to use the environmental based, but as I said, it is being still be used at most of the project as I know. The next one, special one that we all have to see in today's world, where we are talking about a sprint, even a quick sprint to be completed everything in a week or two. That is called as a trunk based deployment. It is again the modern approach for a fast CI and CD. For CI CD, we are going to be talking in our upcoming videos. What is the benefit and where to be used the trunk based? Trunk based is where you have to manage a one trunk which is our main branch considered as a trunk. Every time when a developer is going to be work on any feature, they will extract the branch immediately out of it, create its own feature, and that feature is going to be used for 1 or maximum of 2 days or a couple of hours even. Get a branch, make a change, get it merged back onto the trunk. and it can be used for multiple developers to be work at the same time. Create a branch out of main trunk, make a change, merge it back onto the main trunk. Once it has been tested from the main trunk, then it can be create a release to be get it built and deployed for a production deployment. But any branch, either you can give it as a name main or any other name, that will be act as a trunk from where a developer is going to be create their own feature branch, make a change, a very quick change, merge it back onto the main branch or a trunk branch, and then make it ready to be deployed. It is mostly being used in today's world of having a fast sprint, multiple features that needs to be go, and all those feature is going to be managed using a feature or a toggle flag. That is how the trunk based development or a strategy is going to be used. There are many other strategies from the branching perspective that has been exist, like the fork perspective. You can do the fork based strategy where make a fork from the main branch and then do a changes. And there are multiple mixed branches where you can do a mix of any of these strategy that we have discussed, like the trunk based or environmental based, or it can be a mix of trunk and the normal git where you have to still manage the trunk but you want to do the release as well, multiple one. That is how the branching strategy can work. It is all depend upon that what is the need of your project, what is the need of your organization, how your development team is working, and based upon that you can decide it what branching strategy you are going to be used. Thank you so much. That is what we have discussed today onto our branching strategy, what to use, where to use, and what is the benefit of all those branching strategy. On our upcoming video, we will talk on to a few more functionality of Azure repos, and then we will jump in onto our actual CI and CD concept to create the YAML file, to create how the Azure DevOps is helping to be create the CI and CD pretty effectively and pretty fast. Thank you so much.